Good evening, everyone. If I am audible, please write in the chat box. And we are going to begin this session in a while. Once again, good evening, everyone. Okay, today is day 6 of Python Bootcamp. So today we are going to discuss about the first of all, we are going to discuss about the introduction, and afterwards we will discuss about the errors and exception handling in Python. Okay, quickly write in the chat box if it is clear to everyone that we are going to cover these topics so that we begin this session. Okay, now today we are going to discuss about the file handling, what is file handling, and so on. We have to discuss about it. So quickly discuss. Now, if we talk about the introduction, so file handling basically a process of working with files on computer. So, what is actually it? It is just how can we read, how can we write files using using Python. Okay, file handling basically how can we read or write our files using Python. And it is basically allow us to read or basically write files on our computer's hard drive, as well as some different functions also we can do, like we can copy it, we can rename it, and even we can delete them. Okay, now afterwards we have like file handling. How can we achieve file handling? Just by using some built-in functions that, and also some methods that we are going to discuss in the session as well. So first one is opening a file. So if we want to open any file, we need to use open function. Now it takes two arguments. First is going to be the name. First one is the name, And second one is the mode, in which mode you want to open it, like you want to write or you want to read it. So let's write the syntax for it. So if we talk about the syntax here, the syntax is quite simple. Like we will say file equals to, we are going to open, and we need to give the name of the file. So I'm giving, let's say we have a file name dot txt, and afterwards we need to provide what, we need to provide a mode, like we are providing the read mode here. We can provide a write mode as well, but here I'm just giving an example how we we open any file. So here is the open function, which takes two arguments. First argument is basically a name, and second is the mode. Quickly write in the chat box if it is clear to everyone or not, so that we continue with the second method. Guys, quickly write in the chat box. Okay, thank you for giving the confirmation, Shiva. Now we are going to discuss the second method. Now, second method is that reading from a file. Now, if we want to read any file, like we have several methods. First, we have seen how we can open it. Now, if we talk about what are the different methods, we can use, let's write here. First, first way is here read. Okay, first function is read here. Now, second way is read line, and last one is read lines, read lines. Let's discuss quickly what they actually do. Like if we talk about read is going to reads all entire. Please, okay. Now it is written reads the entire file. Now, if we talk about a read line, so read line basically reads a single line at a time. Reads, reads the, or basically reads one line at a time. Now, afterwards we have read lines. Read lines is basically, it is going to read all the lines in a file and it is going to return them as a list. So it's basically read all the lines, reads all the lines in the file, and returns them as a list. Okay, quickly write in the chat box. Is it clear that what is the second way of a file handling? Quickly write in the chat box so that we continue with the third type. Now, the third way is writing to a file. So how we can write? So we need to use this method, that is write. Let's see the example for it also. Like first of all, let's say we are opening any file. Let's say file equals to open. Like we have abc.txt, a file, comma, then we are going to open a write. Now afterwards, we need to write in it. So how we can write in it? We need to use file dot write. Then let's say we want to write hello world. Hello world. Now afterwards, what is important, that we need to close it also, like file dot close. So why it is necessary to close any file? Because if we don't close the file, then there is a chances of corruption, like it will corrupt. if we don't close it manually. So remember this part. Now, quickly tell me, is it clear to everyone? Okay. Now, next type is closing a file. How can we close a file? We already seen we need to use close method here, like file dot close. Okay, now let's say some like importance. Like whenever we have finished our working with a file, it is important to close a file. I already told what is it. Like first, there's a chances, there's a chance that file may corrupt. Okay, and second is that the system resources, because we know resources are most important or most precious thing in it. So it is continuously using that resource because it is in the RAM. Okay, then that means it is going to continuously using that resource. But if we use file.close, then it is going to free up the whatever the resources which is used by the file, it is going to be free up. So again, we can use that resources in different tasks as well. Quickly tell me, is it clear? Okay, now at last we have handling errors, that we will discuss in a detail. Okay, it is going to discuss in a detailed manner. Okay, in the next slides, in which we are going to discuss about the errors and file handling. So handling errors, basically we come across with different types of errors that we can correct them. Like some are the, you can say, errors which can be corrected by us. So we are going to see what are the errors that we can handle. Okay, then we are going to handle those errors. If if those errors can be handled, then they are known to be exceptions. Okay, now here's errors and exception handling. So again, it is important if we talk about a Python programming, because errors are mistake made by the programmers that cause a program to crash or produce incorrect result. So simply, what is error? It is a mistake which is made by any programmer and which is eventually cause a program to crash or basically produce incorrect results. Now we have some exceptions that we can handle them. Then we can handle them. Okay, like we have zero division error, zero division error. Like let's say I'm dividing 2 divided by 0, then it is known to be what? This is the error which is considered to be exception. Okay, this error considered to be exception. Remember this part. And here, if I divide 2, uh, I'm dividing 2 with 0, then it is lead to be error. But we can handle them. We will see how can we handle these kind of errors. Now we are going to discuss about the blocks, how we can handle. Like first we try, accept, else, and these are 4 blocks. These are 4 blocks that that is present. That is present in the handling part. Quickly tell me, is it clear till now? Guys, quickly tell me, is it clear to everyone? Quickly tell me, is it clear till now or not? Okay, now let's discuss about the basic syntax of exception handling. So what we have said, first block is going to be our try block. So first block is try block. Now in which we are going to write the code that is going to be see whether this code is raise any exception or not. So here it's just a code that may raise an exception. Okay, now afterwards we have second block that is accept. Afterwards we need to write whatever the exception type, like it can be zero division type and any other. So here we will write exception type. Okay, afterwards here we are going to write a code. Here we are going to write a code which is going to handle the exception. Code to handle the exception. Okay, this is the first block. This is the second block. Now we are going to discuss about the third block. Third block is else. Now else block is going to contain the code which is going to be executed if there is no exception. If there any exception, then it is not going to be executed. Code to be executed if there is no exception. Okay. Afterwards, we have fourth one. Fourth one is basically finally. Now here, the code which is always going to be executed, whatever the scenario, whether we get the exception or not. This code is always going to be executed. So here, code that is always executed, whether an exception occurred or not. Okay, quickly tell me. Till then, everything is clear to everyone or not? Please write in the chat box. Any other students? Now, if we talk about we have discussed four type of blocks. So if we talk about the try block, it is going to contains the code that we have discussed, which is going to be raise an exception. And if any exception caught, then the except block is going to be executed. So what is the flow? So remember this part. The flow is, first of all, it check. If the error occurred, then it is going to come up here. Okay. And afterwards, it is going to this part. Okay. Then when the exception occurred, when exception occurred, in that scenario, the flow is like first of all try, then afterwards the accept block, then afterwards finally. Okay, now if we talk about if we don't get any error, then in that scenario the output will be looks like this. Firstly try, afterwards else, then afterwards finally. Okay, I will write here also. When exception does not occur. In that scenario, try, afterwards else, afterwards finally. Guys, quickly tell me, is it clear? What is the flow is going to be happen here? Guys, quickly tell me, is it clear? Guys, quickly tell me, is it clear to everyone or not? Okay, now let's see the example on it also. This is good. Why it's showing blank screen. Okay, I think there is an issue. Okay, good evening inside Excel. Now let's see the example on a compiler. Now I think you can see the screen now. Now we are going to see the example on how can we handle the exception. Let's we are going to write code for it. First of all, we have a try block. Okay, and in try block we are going to say what, like we are going to take two numbers and we are including that code which might raise an exception. So here first is number equals to int input input, and let's take the input that enter a number. Okay, afterwards let's say num2 which is equals to int input enter another number. Afterwards let's say result equals to num1 divided by num2. Okay, we have successfully created our try block. Now we need to create our next block, that is accept. Now we are going to create our accept block, in which I know we can get our division error. Okay, zero division error. So I am writing here zero division zero division error we might get here. Then if we trying to divide by zero, then afterwards let's print error. And what is the error here? Just a second. Okay. Now, what is the error here? Error will be division. Division by zero. Division by zero is not allowed. Okay. If we caught this kind of, you can say division error. Okay. First of all, I'm just trying to run this part. Okay. So that you can get the clarity here. Okay. Rest of the part, I'm just commenting out. Okay, now if I run it, Okay, just a second. Now it's echo. We can't give the indentation here. Okay, now it's will run completely fine. Now here we can see enter a number. Okay, so I am writing 24 here. Now let's 26. Then it is completely working fine. Now it is not giving any error as well. Now return print as well. Let's print it as well. Print the result. Okay, now let's run this part again. Now if I divide by 0, then in that case you will see an error. And what kind of error you can see? That is zero division error. Now if I run this try block, now again it will check. If I got this kind of error, then this except block is going to check whether the error we got the same or not. If same, then we will print this line. But error division by 0 is not allowed. When we are going to divide it by 0. So quickly remove this part. Now afterwards, let's else print the result. The result is the result is comma our result. And at last, the final clause we can say, or final block. So I finally block. Print end of program. Now let's write 34 afterwards 2. Okay, in this scenario, what is going to happen? We are not going to encounter any error. That means we firstly, obviously, we are always going to enter in the try block. Then afterwards, in this scenario, we are going to go in the else one. Then afterwards, we will run the finally block. And the output in this scenario would be what? The result is 17.0, and afterwards the second line is going to be printed, that is end of program. Let's run this part. Okay, sorry, it is running. Now afterwards hit enter. Now here you can see the result is 17.0 and there is an end of program. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Guys, quickly tell me, is it clear to everyone or not? Sir, please quickly answer. Is it clear to everyone? Guys, quickly tell me, is it clear? Okay. Now afterwards, let's run it again. Now this time I'm giving by 0. This time I am providing 0. Now, in this scenario, what will happen? This this accept block is going to run, and afterwards the finally block is going to be executed, as I already told in the theory part. Now, afterwards, just a second, I hit enter here. Now, here you can see try block, afterwards accept block, afterwards finally block is going to executed. Okay. Now these now let's do one more thing here. Let's run it again. Now this time, let's say I'm saying A, B, C, okay, B, and hit enter. Okay. Now here this time my program is got blocked. That means my program haven't reached their end position. So again, we need to handle this part as well. So how we can handle? Now here I'm trying to get that I can get the value error as well. So value error is what? Basically, if we provide any, like in this scenario we are expecting our integer value, okay, but we are getting, or basically a user trying to give us a but a string value, then this kind of error is known to be value error, because here the value is wrong, because we are providing the wrong value in the wrong section. Okay, so we need to handle this part as well. So let's quickly handle this also. How can we handle? We again make, or basically we can create a separate except block here. Except, afterwards, what we have? Value error. So I just quickly copy this and paste it here. Okay, what happened? Okay, leave it now. Value, value error. Now we are getting the value error here. Now let's print here. Afterwards, error. What is the error here? Invalid, invalid input. Invalid input. Please provide, or basically please enter a number. Okay. Now we have again encounter, or basically we have encounter this kind of error, and we have successfully handled it also. How? Now this time if I run this code, then it is not going to be blocked here. It is running successfully here. Now let's see. Now 45, let's say 45, 67. Okay, in this scenario it is working completely fine. Now let's run for the zero division error. 45 divided by 0 gets, it's worked completely fine here. Now afterwards, let's check for the value error as well. Now for value error, let's 78, and let's write you something. Okay, now hit enter. Now you can see it is saying me error, and which kind of error? Invalid input I have given. Now here you can see our program gets ended here. That means if we whenever we got this kind of errors, we can handle them, and we successfully uh, end our program as well. So why it is necessary to learn this? So first thing is that if whenever we get any error, then that scenario the program is might be blocked, as we have discussed. That means if if we don't know about this kind of blocks, then we are not going to become a good programmer. So if we know these kind of blocks, then we can achieve our ending in the program as well, and we can identify which kind of different errors can we get in the program as well. Okay, I hope it's clear to everyone. Is it clear? Is it clear to everyone or not? Please write in chat box. Now quickly add the snippet here. Okay, now it's showing. Now we have discussed this example here. Okay, we have discussed this example, and quickly I write some points here so that you can recall these points. Now if we talk about here, we know it is when if the user 0 as a second number. Now if we talk about this, it is when a user gives a value which is non-numerical. Now as we have discussed, try block, then afterwards except block, then afterwards finally block. It is when we got a error, or basically we get an exception. Now if we don't get any exception, then try afterwards else, then afterwards finally. now quickly discuss about some errors. Like we have, okay, we have space here. Now types of errors we are going to discuss. Like we have just discussed two errors, we have much more errors. So I am discussing some common errors as well. Types of errors. Okay, if we talk about, so we can have a index error. When we get this kind of error, when when we are trying to execute or trying to get any data from a index which is not a part of sequence. So it's raised when the index of a sequence is out of range. Or we can get common errors like syntax error as well. It is basically raised whenever we are trying to give a semantic error. Like let's say we know if we want to hold any data in a variable x, I need to write this. Okay, but let's say I write this x5, then it is going to be a error because this is not a syntax for assigning any value. Or basically x equal to 5, then afterwards this. Again, this is not the syntax of a Python. Then again, it is going to raise the error of syntax error. And we can get our indentation error as we have discussed also in the today's session. At the starting, when I am trying to run the num1 and num2 and the print, then it has not worked because we I unluckily did the indentation like num1 equals to, then afterwards num2 here. Then why I'm giving this indentation? So it is a wrong type of giving indentation here. Yes, if it is a block of it, then I can use the indentation. But here it is a wrong way that we have seen in the coding part as well in today's session. Quickly tell me, is it clear to everyone? Okay. So quickly, I'm giving a short brief about whatever we have discussed. We have discussed about the file handling processes, like how can we handle our files using Python. Then afterwards, we have deal with the how can we handle exception while coding in Python. Like here we have seen first how can we open, we have seen here how can we open it. Then afterwards we have seen like how can we read a file. We can read entire file, we can read line by line, or we can read all the lines in the file and afterwards return as a list. And afterwards how can we write in a file just by using the write method. Afterwards we have seen how can we open. So opening is just easy how we need to use close. And afterwards we have seen handling errors, that here we have taken a brief introduction. Like we have four types of blocks: try, except, else, and afterwards we have finally. Then we have seen the example as well here. So quickly take a look on it and quickly tell me, is it clear to everyone or not? I'm just sharing the link as well. Quickly mark your attendance. Guys, quickly mark your attendance. Soon we are going to end this session as well. Guys, quickly mark your attendance. And thank you for joining this session. Bye, everyone.